Okay, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about getting food stamps. What's required, what do you need to prove, and try to save you some time because if you're going to go in there and get a food stamp card, you might as well have everything ready to go so you're not making multiple trips. A few things you should know right now. It is June 2020, so we had a pandemic right now. Almost virtually anybody can get food stamps at the full value while it lasts because of the pandemic. So there are pandemic rules, okay? You're almost always certainly guaranteed to get them if you have a kid. And that's only right now. Now, Trump rules. Basically, there was about 9 different places in the country that were so low income, like Detroit, that they didn't have a work policy. So in other words, you could go apply and you could just keep getting them, and you didn't have to do anything. Most places in the country have never had that policy in place. And so whenever you get them after the 90 days, they want to see you go back to work. So you have to prove that you're either searching for work, looking for work, volunteering somewhere. That also counts in some states, but not all, where you can just go volunteer somewhere for 20 hours a week. But that's it, okay? So if you don't live in one of the most poverty-stricken cities in the country, then, Trump's changes to the rules is not going to change anything for you, okay? All right, let's look at the actual physical rules. But first of all, to save you time, please make sure you have your driver's license, your social security card, and an income verification. An income verification, you can Google that for your city. There will be a place you can go to, like the unemployment office possibly, and you hand them a driver's license, social security. They'll print out what you might have earned for the year, okay, or the last year. If that doesn't work, you can always pop into the IRS. And believe it or not, those buildings are usually pretty empty for some reason. I guess people don't like going. But you go in there and say, look, can I just get a printout real quick of my last year's deal? And it's usually really fast. Even in the city of Houston downtown, I can walk in within 5 minutes and usually get that, okay? But they're going to require a driver's license to even get in the door. It is a federal building. Okay, with that being said, so now you have those 3 documents, okay? Now, if you have those 3 things and you have no place to live and you have no income, say you're just homeless, you pretty much can take those 3 documents, go in and get the maximum value, okay? Now, if you're not a person with no income, no home, no assets or anything like that, it's a little bit more sophisticated to get food stamps, but let me make it simple for you, okay? If there are 3 people living in your home, let's exclude children, let's exclude everybody over the age of 60, okay? So anybody between 18 and 59, if you've got 3 people in a home and all 3 of you have a disposable income of $27,700 a year, that is the absolute top line. If you make $27,701, you're not getting food stamps, okay? And the closer you get to 27,700 a year, the less the food stamps are going to be. Let me give an example. Got a friend, she's 60. She receives $1,200 worth of survivor benefits, which is a lot like Social Security or Social Security disability. That $1,200 deal that she gets, along with affordable housing. So after all that's done and said, she only receives $40 as food stamps, okay? So it's not that hard to practically get nothing out the situation, okay? So beyond that, documentation, I would tell you to go ahead and get your credit card bills, your car notes, your electric bill, your rent bills, any kind of bills you've got. Swing by the bank, do a quick printout of showing that your bank account is empty, or show at least that you have the last 90 days worth with you. You don't want to keep going back to this place, okay? Once you have all that, Doc, you can prove who you are. You can prove what kind of bills you have. Then you can start deducting your $40,000 a year job down. And after all those deductions, it should bring it down below that 27,700, and you'll be eligible for a small amount of food stamps. The only way you're going to be able to increase the amount of the food stamps is if you have kids or if you have a person over 60, which is considered elderly, okay? Now, going on. Bum, bum, bum. Households. Okay, so assets must fall below certain amounts in households without a member who is elderly or who has a disability. So let's talk about this. Besides the elderly, the disabled, and children, if your assets, what they mean by assets is, can you sell it? I mean, the ring on your finger, okay, the car you're driving in, or the house you own. So if your assets need to be less than $2,250. Okay, they're not playing around. I mean, if you have anything, then they're suggesting you go sell it before you come and visit them. Okay, that's just the way it goes. They don't really. This isn't, this situation isn't for everybody. Okay, so anyways, disability must. So to read exactly, assets must fall below certain limits. Households without a member who is elderly who has a disability must have assets of $2,250 or less, and households with such members must have assets less than $3,500. So if it's you and your grandmother, you and your child, everything that you have in that home better be worth less than $3,500. Let me just be frank with you, okay? This is self-reporting, okay? You're telling them. So unless you go and open your big mouth, you're really not going to have a problem. I'm not telling you to be unethical, but you need to do what you need to do if you need to eat, all right? Because there's no other way to prove otherwise, except for things like homes and cars, which, obviously are filed with the DMV. Okay, what counts as income? So let's take a look at that. Anything that makes money. Now, whether or not you report that, that's a different story, okay? Cash counts income from any source. You have to look at what's reasonable for them to prove. Look, they're not going to go through a database and do research for 12 hours figuring out what you have. I think they can probably surmise about only what you make through a job. I don't even think they have the ability to look at whether or not you even have a car, okay? But anyways, 3-month limit. Many adults without dependents need to meet certain requirements to remain eligible for SNAP. There's a lot of different things, and of course they've changed it now, which is from 18 to 50, you need to go to work, okay? Let me tell you something about that. The first time that you go and apply for food stamps, they'll give you the 90 days, and they're not going to stress you about going to work, okay? But when you reach day 91, they're going to want you to start doing training programs, going to search at whatever job center there is. And a lot of states are really cool about allowing you to go volunteer. So why not just go to the library for 5 hours, catch some air conditioning, catch up on your reading, and then meet the 20-hour requirement. That way, if you have plenty of time on your hands. Otherwise, you're going to have to go and do what they want. So let's read more about it. So unless you're working or training, and you'll notice they put that in, unless they are working or in work or training program for 20 hours a week, some individuals are exempt from this requirement. Look, you want to prove a disability, you better have a doctor sign it, okay? Food stamp office is a little bit different than Social Security Administration. It's a little bit different than HUD, too. HUD has very low requirements for disability. I would say the threshold's pretty low. If you can get any doctor or counselor that's been to school that has all those little initials behind their name saying that they're a therapist, a counselor, or whatever, they actually have a degree. If they can say, hey, you know what, this guy's got an injured back, it is chronic, and it's going to last more than 12 months, then you'll likely not have to do this. If you're mentally unstable, if you have an alcohol or drinking problem that prevents you from working, you could get a counselor that has a degree with those initials behind their name, okay, a therapist, then that would be sufficient for you to not have to go and do the 20 hours, okay, or work or whatever. Now, beyond that, the law allows states to suspend the 3-month limit in areas with high and sustained unemployment. So as we talked about, that Trump eliminated pretty much that around the country, okay? So if you live in the poorest of the poorest areas, too bad. Trump says that you just need to go out there, I guess, pick berries and hope you get a job. I don't know. My video is not about Trump. He is who he is, but I'm just saying that he's now eliminated that, so there will be an expectation to go to work. Okay. Okay. Who's not eligible? Very simply, if you're on strike or you're an illegal immigrant, forget about it. Okay. Do not try it. If you get caught coming up there with fake IDs or IDs from other people, okay, they will send you to federal prison over it, okay? So I'm just warning you, if you are not from the country, you somehow gain access to the country, I understand your situation. If your children were born in the U.S., then, go down and get the food stamps. If you do not have children that were born in the U.S., then you're risking a prison sentence, okay? Don't do it. And besides that, most American people don't like, aren't particularly a big fan of people taking food stamps anyways, okay? So, but yeah, if you have kids, then it's understandable, okay? And it's called SNAP and TANF, TANF, all right? Calculating benefits amounts. SNAP expects families receiving benefits to spend 30% of their own net income, okay? That's why people complain, oh, well, you know what, I'm getting the maximum value, which is $196. This is still not enough to feed myself. The reason why they're not going to give you $500 for a single person is because you're supposed to be contributing 30%. That's why the food stamp program will never deliver over $200 a month, okay? And that even includes San Francisco. I once received them a long time ago, so I know. Okay, so let's look at the household size. One person, the maximum benefit's $194, so they knocked it down. The average person gets $131. And you can pause the video, take a look at this. I'll scroll through it real slowly, and you can see 1 through 8. All right. Each additional person gets 146, okay?